बच्चों, कैसे हैं आप सभी? आई होप आप सभी बहुत अच्छे से होंगे। क्लास की शुरुआत करते हैं। चैप्टर है हमारा लॉ एंड सोशल जस्टिस। स्नीक पीक, लॉ एंड सोशल जस्टिस। लॉ एंड सोशल जस्टिस इन इंडिया। व्हाट इज सोशल जस्टिस? Enforcement of law, Bhopal tragedy case and enforcement of safety laws, issue of negligence of law in the Bhopal tragedy case, new laws to protect the environment, factors causing environmental degradation and the responsibility of the government. Prelude, highlights of the chapter, social justice, role of government in safeguarding environment as a public facility, role of government in ensuring social justice to all, challenges faced by the government in ensuring social justice to all, a plan to save environment from the rising pollution, भोपाल ट्रेजेडी केस। बच्चों, यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया प्रियम्बल दिया गया है। इसको आप अच्छे से पढ़ सकते हैं बच्चों, समझ सकते हैं। उसके बाद में आ जाते हैं आगे। The term justice is secured in the Constitution through various provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles. The inclusion of the word socialist in the preamble by 42nd Amendment Act has strengthened the democratic ethos of social and economic justice. Apart from the preamble, which ensures social justice on multiple dimensional directions, Part 3 and 4 of the Constitution provide detailing of social justice under the title of fundamental rights and directive principles of states policy respectively. Law and social justice in India. Laws are needed to maintain order in the society through making, enforcing and upholding the laws. The government can control the activities of individual or private companies as to ensure social justice. बच्चों, लॉ जो है वो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को मेंटेन करने के लिए, एक सोसाइटी को चलाने के लिए लॉ की ज़रूरत होती है। इसको बनाने के लिए इन्फोर्सिंग, अपहोल्डिंग द लॉज, गवर्नमेंट ने कई सारी एक्टिविटीज़ को भी वो कंट्रोल कर सकती है, फिर चाहे वो किसी कंपनी का हो, फिर चाहे वो इंडिविजुअल का हो, और ये सभी चीज़ें लॉ के अंडर ही हो सकती है। Laws are made according to the needs of the society. For example, the Parliament enacted the Right to Information Bill 2005 after a long struggle by the people. Article 21 provides right to life. बच्चों, लॉज जो है वो सोसाइटी की नीड्स के अकॉर्डिंग बनती है। जैसे एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर जो पार्लियामेंट ने राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन बिल पास किया था 2005 में, एक लॉन्ग स्ट्रगल के बाद में जब लोगों ने बहुत स्ट्रगल किया था इसके लिए, आर्टिकल 21 जो है वो हमें राइट टू लाइफ प्रोवाइड कराता है। What is social justice? The term social justice implies justice in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities and privileges within a society. It also means availability of equal social opportunities to all the people in the society, without any discrimination of caste, sex or race. Social justice can be maintained only when all classes, the poor and the rich, are provided justice. Many of these laws have their basis in the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. For instance, the right against exploitation says that no one can force to work for low wages or under bondage. Yet many people, poor people who work as laborers in factories are underpaid. To protect their rights, Government of India has devised separate labor laws which tackle issues like workers' wages and protection to ensure that workers not underpaid or are paid unfairly. There is a law on minimum wages. However, it is noted that any foreign companies invest in India, as in countries like India, labor is cheap. In the USA, workers' wages are far higher than in poorer countries like India, and for lower pay, companies can get longer hours of work. Besides, in India, poor working conditions are maintained as compared to factories outside. Research junction. In recent times, social justice in India has been linked more with the reservation policy in India. Find out how this affects social justice in India. Enforcement of law. The government has to ensure that these laws are implemented. This means that the law must be enforced. Enforcement becomes even more important when the law seeks to protect the weak from the strong. For instance, to ensure that every worker gets fair wages, the government has to regularly inspect work sites and punish those who violate the law. The Factories Act 1948 provides regulation for working hours and overtime payment plan for the work done beyond an usual working hours. As the government has to see the enforcement itself, enforcement of law may be quite difficult at times. For example, despite laws being made, some problems like child labor are difficult to solve. As fact shows, the central government has made a law and asked state governments to develop plans to rescue and rehabilitate children who are working as domestic servants. To date, only 3 state governments, namely Maharashtra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, have published these plans. In spite of this law, 74% of child domestic workers are under the age of 16. Bhopal tragedy case and enforcement of safety laws. It is the duty of the lawmaker, the enforcer, and the government to ensure that safety laws are implemented and the right to life guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution is not violated. The government of India failed to check these in Bhopal tragedy case. On 2nd December 1984, the Union Carbide UC, an American company factory in Bhopal city which produced pesticides, had a major accident. At midnight, methyl isocyanide (MIC), a highly poisonous gas, started leaking from this UC plant. Within 3 days, more than 8,000 people were dead. Before the tragedy, workers were healthy and they could work in factories, but after the tragedy, people became too sick to work. Hundreds of thousands were maimed because of the poisonous gas. Issue of negligence of law in the Bhopal tragedy case. The Bhopal tragedy could be avoided, and even if the tragedy would have happened, it could be brought under control in no time, reducing its aftermath. In the Bhopal Union Carbide plant, every safety device was malfunctioning or was in short supply. Between 1980 and 1984, the work crew of the MIC plant was cut in half from 12 to 6 workers. The period of safety training for workers was brought down for 6 months to 15 days. The post of night shift worker for the MIC plant was abolished. In contrast, the West Virginia, USA computerized warning and monitoring system were in place. The UC plant in Bhopal relied on manual gauzes and the human senses to detect gas leaks. At least West Virginia plant emergency evacuation plans were in place, but sadly, none existent in Bhopal. This reflects negligence and the low worth of a worker's life. Also, it is noted that even many years after the Bhopal gas tragedy, there are regular reports of accidents on sites, mines or factories due to the careless attitude of the employees. The Government of India passed the Employees Compensation Act 1923. The EC Act, it aims to provide financial protection to workmen and their dependents in case of any accidental injury. As a lawmaker and enforcer, it is a responsibility of the government to ensure that safety laws are implemented and the right to life guaranteed after Article 21 of the Constitution is not violated. Knowledge junction. In the Ogla Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation case 1985, the Supreme Court ruled that the right to life article under Article 21 includes the right to livelihood. The court protected some dwellers for eviction without alternative shelter, expanding the interpretation of Article 21 to ensure a dignified life. New laws to protect the environment. Environment is a public facility. People, our generations, will share the environment and it will impact everyone. It could not be destroyed merely for industrial or personal development. To environment, cleanliness is everyone's responsibility. Under the right to life Article 21, all citizens have the right to enjoyment of population free water and the right to the enjoyment of population free air. The Department of Environment was set up in India only in 1980. Since 1985, there is a full-fledged Ministry of Environment and Forest. It aims at planning, promotion and coordination of environmental and forestry programs in India. The Environment Protection Act 1986 empowers the central government to take all necessary measures for protection of the environment. Factors causing environmental degradation and the responsibility of the government. In 1984, there were very few laws protecting the environment in India, and there was hardly any enforcement of these laws. It has been observed that several industries are polluting the neighborhood. Emissions from vehicles are another major cause of environmental pollution. It is a responsibility of the government to ensure the protection of environment because pollution has to lead the depletion of the ozone layer. If this is not checked in the time, the ozone layer will get totally deplicated, causing dramatic transformations in world climate. All the ice may melt, causing a sea age to come and civilizations to end. In response to pressure from environmental activists and others in the years following the Bhopal gas tragedy, the Indian government introduced new laws on environment. Henceforth, the polluter was held accountable for the damage to environment. The government is responsible for setting up laws and procedures that can check pollutions, clean rivers and reduce heavy fines for these who pollute. The courts have given a number of judgments upholding the right to a healthy environment as enshring to the fundamental right to life. In Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar 1991, the Supreme Court held the right to life is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution, wherein every individual has the right to the enjoyment of population-free water and air for full enjoyment of life. However, on the other side of the story is that in recent years, while the courts have come out with the strong orders on environmental issues, these have sometimes affected people's livelihood adversely. For instance, when in Delhi, the industries were told to be removed from the residential areas, many workers lost their jobs. It is the duty of government thus to look for solutions where everyone can benefit from a clean environment. Government should also look towards the introduction of cleaner technologies and processes in the city, including automobiles and factories. Social justice can be maintained only when government not only makes appropriate laws but also enforces them properly. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं ग्रास्प एंड गेन पर. This chapter teaches us how laws protect the weak, ensure equality and promote social justice. It highlights the importance of enforcing laws and government's role in safeguarding rights and the environment. बच्चों ये चैप्टर हमें क्या सिखाता है कि कैसे जो वीक लोग होते हैं हम उन्हें इक्वालिटी देते हैं, प्रमोट करते हैं सोशल जस्टिस को और उनके जो लॉज हैं उनको प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं. Research Junction, you have learned about Bhopal gas tragedy in this lesson. Find out more about this incident and enact a skit highlighting the causes and effects of this incident. The skit can include different characters like factory managers, factory workers, security staff, residents living nearby the factory, etc. Divide the roles among the students in the class through this activity. बच्चे इस एक्टिविटी को आपको परफॉर्म करना है अपनी क्लास की हेल्प के साथ में. इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा. टाइम, टर्म्स टू लर्न. Justice, the fair treatment of people. Amendment, a part that is added or a small change. Law, an official rule of a country or state. Enforcement, the process of making people obey a law or rule. MIC, methyl isocyanate gas. Aftermath, unpleasant event, disaster, an event that causes a lot of harm or damage. Let's recapitulate. The chapter explains how laws ensure social justice by protecting the weak and promoting equality. The Constitution provides social and economic justice through fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. The Right to Information Act 2005 was enacted to ensure transparency and uphold citizens' rights. Social justice means the fair distribution of water, opportunities, and privileges without discrimination based on caste, race, or gender. Labor laws like the Minimum Wages Act and Factories Act 1948 protect workers' right, ensuring fair wages and worker conditions. The Bhopal gas tragedy shows the consequences of not enforcing safety laws, leading to whispered suffering and death. Environmental protection laws such as Environment Protection Act 1986 were introduced to control pollution after the Bhopal disaster. The government is responsible for enforcing laws to protect the environment and safeguard workers' rights. Enforcing laws can be difficult, as seen with child labor, where laws exist but enforcement remains inconsistent. The chapter emphasizes that social justice requires both making laws and ensuring their proper implementation to protect all citizens. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं assessment junction पर. Pick the correct option. The Amendment Act added the word socialist to the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Option A, Option B, Option C, Option D. बच्चों आगे की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा. अब आ जाते हैं स्टेट वेदर द गिवन सेंटेंसेज आर ट्रू और फॉल्स. द टर्म सोशल जस्टिस ओनली अप्लाइज टू इकोनॉमिक वेल्थ. फॉल्स. बच्चों आगे की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा. फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स. बच्चों यहाँ पर जो ब्लैंक्स दिए गए हैं चैप्टर की मदद से इन्हें खुद से फिल करिएगा. डिफ्रेंशिएट बिटवीन द फॉलोइंग. बच्चों आपको जो पॉइंट्स दिए हैं उनके बीच में डिफ्रेंशिएट करना है. इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा. आंसर द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस इन 20 to 30 वर्ड्स. यहाँ जो क्वेश्चंस दिए गए हैं उनके आंसर्स को आपको केवल 20 to 30 वर्ड्स में देने हैं. आंसर द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस इन 50 to 60 वर्ड्स. बच्चों यहाँ जो क्वेश्चंस दिए गए हैं उनके आंसर्स को आपको 50 to 60 वर्ड्स में लिखने हैं. आंसर द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस इन डिटेल. यहाँ जो क्वेश्चंस दिए गए हैं उनके आंसर्स को आपको डिटेलिंग लिखना है. चैप्टर पढ़िए अच्छे से और उसके बाद इन क्वेश्चंस के आंसर आप दीजिए. पॉइंट टू पॉइंटर बच्चों इसको आपको ध्यान से पढ़िए, इसको अच्छे से समझिए और इसके बाद में इसकी प्रैक्टिस आप खुद से कीजिएगा। बच्चों आई होप आज की क्लास में हमने जो भी पढ़ा आपको अच्छे से समझ में आ गया होगा। अब आप इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से करते रहिएगा।